So for our Power Up today, we have 3 questions that come from the ACT. And by the way, I'm sure these are copyright by the ACT group, so because they are released ACT test items. So since this is technically on YouTube, please don't anybody violate ACT's rights or anything like that. Okay, so I've got 2 times a plus b plus a plus b over 6 plus a plus b squared minus 2. And it asks me, what is the value of that expression when a plus b equals 6? Now, the thing about this particular problem is that since they're telling you that a plus b equals 6, we don't have to, and because every time you see an a or a b, you see them together as a plus b. This is kind of a trick, right? I can take this number 6 and I can put it anywhere I see that a plus b. In other words, before you may have just said 2x plus x over 6 plus x squared minus 2, and then they say that x equals 6. And then you'd know exactly what to do. Well, in this case, you still know exactly what to do because every time you see this a plus b, you get to just substitute the number 6, the value 6. So all we're going to do is we're going to substitute 6 every time you see it in a plus b. So this is going to be 2 times 6 plus 6 divided by 6, interesting, plus 6 squared minus 2. And then you just follow the order of operations. In this case, we can do 2 times 6, which is 12, 6 divided by 6, which is 1, and 6 squared, which is 36. We can just do each of those individually before we do our addition and subtraction. And remember the rule, you do addition and subtraction from left to right. So let's not start out by doing 36 minus 2. Let's go ahead and start by doing 12 plus 1, which is 13, plus 36 minus 2, and then 13 and 36, let's see, I think that's 49. Whoops, I almost put 46. 49. Let's go back and make that into a 9. 49, and then 49 minus 2 equals 47. So our answer for this kind of complicated looking problem is just 47. Okay, number 2. Number 2 gives you a multi-step algebra problem with just a single variable. We know how to do this. I've got 12x equals negative 8 times 10 minus x, and it's asking me to solve for x. That's what it means when it says then x equals, question mark, he just wants you to solve for x. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, my first step is that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to distribute that negative 8. And please remember to keep the negative with the 8, just like you're going to keep this negative with this x. Okay, I'm going to distribute negative 8 into 10 minus x. Okay, so I'm going to keep 12x exactly the way it is when I write my second step. Negative 8 times 10 is negative 80. Negative 8 times negative x is going to be, a negative times a negative is a positive. Negative 8 times negative x is going to be plus 8x. Now for my next step, I'm going to go ahead, I need to get all of my x's on one side and everything that's not an x on the other side. So I'll go ahead and I will subtract 8x over here, and I have to also do that on the other side of this equal sign, right? Okay? So I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides because that's going to make this 0, which is what I want it to be. 12x minus 8x is going to be, everybody, anybody? 4x, yes, good job. So 4x equals negative 80, and that's it because 8x minus 8x is 0, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. Anybody know the last step? You over there in the Sophie B. Wright shirt. That's right. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Okay? And when I do that, this 4 over 4, they cancel out. They become 1, and they cancel out. And I get x is equal to negative 20. So there's your answer for number 2. All right, and now number 3. It says, what is the y-intercept of the line in the standard coordinate plane that goes through the points -3, 6 and and 3, 2? So number 3, we're looking for the y-intercept. Okay, and it's a line with 2 points, -3, 6 and 3, 2. Okay, very important ACT skill is learning about something called the point-slope form of a linear equation. Okay, point-slope form of a linear equation. I actually think that maybe Miss Lewis taught this to you differently, but that's okay. Her way is very valid as well. But those of you who had Miss Lewis, awesome teacher, by the way. Love Miss Lewis. Point-slope form. You have on one side you have y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Okay? Very important when you're looking at point-slope form. Your y is going to stay, your m is going to stay, and your x is going to stay. Now your m is going to be your slope. So how do you find the slope of a line that goes between 2 points? Well, the slope, m, is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? This here is going to be 0.1, this here is going to be 0.2. So that means that this is y1 and this is y2, and oops, and this is x1 and this is x2. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that m is equal to 2 minus 6, y2 minus y1, over 3 minus -3, which is the same as -4 over 3 minus -3 is the same as 3 plus 3 over 6. And that reduces to -2/3. So that's my slope, -2/3. Okay, that's going to go right there. Okay, everything else, as I said, you keep the y. I guess I shouldn't have put a blue thing around this because the m, oh, whoops. You keep the y, then you're going to substitute y1, which is this 6 here. So y minus 6 we're going to put is equal to -2/3. Okay, and then you're going to keep this x minus whatever x1 is, which in this case is -3. Okay? Then we'll say that y minus 6 is equal to -2/3 x plus 3. And then I'm going to distribute -2/3 times x and then -2/3 times 3. So your next step is y minus 6 is equal to -2/3 x, and then -2/3 times 3 is going to be -2. Okay? Now, that is your point-slope form. You're done with a point-slope form, but it wants to know what the y-intercept is. So how do we put it into a form that's going to give us the y-intercept? Well, we know that the y-intercept can be found by the slope-intercept form. I'll use lightning yellow for this one, which is y equals mx plus b. So I can convert this with one simple step into the slope-intercept form, and then I'll be able to find my y-intercept, which is going to be that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 6 to both sides, and that's going to give me the slope-intercept form of y equals -2/3 x plus 4. And here's my y-intercept right here. So the answer to my question is y equals. Now, remember, it's the y-intercept. So x is going to be 0, and y in this case is going to be 4. Okay? Sometimes you just write it. as the answer is 4, but I would like you to get into the habit of giving me a point. So y equals 0, 4 for number 3. Alrighty, have a good